All right, I'm going to do a few of these with you. You're going to have to turn this in, finished or not, at about halfway through class time. If you do get finished before then, turn it in, and you'll be given an extra credit assignment you can work on. We are looking at domain and range. As a reminder, domain is all possible x values, which we read from left to right. Range is all possible y values, which we read from low to high. Low to high, left to right. You should also have this on the side, as this is your inequality bank. All of the answers for this activity are somewhere on this assignment, or this worksheet right here, and you'll cross them out as you work on it. All I need from you is this assignment turned in, not this bank. All right, to begin with the first one, I'm going to do number 1 with you, but number 2 I'll let you do on your own. Notice these are just dots. So it's like that first day activity where we just list the values. I suggested that you list the values by writing what the ordered pairs are. Yes, there's no numbers, but you can count. This is 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So -4, -6. This point over here, -6, -1. Oops, I forgot the negative. That's all in quadrant 3. In quadrant 2, we have -4, +3. On the y-axis, we have 0, 2. Over in quadrant 1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 7. Oh, I missed a point. And in quadrant 4, have 1, -2. Now that I have my points labeled, domain is my x, and I read from left to right. So I'm going to go and underline all of my x values. One more. And going from the left to the right, I'm going to list them in my domain. -6 is the one most to the left. Next we have -4, but it shows up twice. I just need it once. Then 0, 1, 5. And I write there. Let's check if that answer is here. And lo and behold, there it is. So I will not be using this answer again. This is a quick way to make sure that what you're doing is correct. I would suggest writing in pencil first. Obviously, I'm writing in pen, so it easily shows up on your screen. So now for my range, range is my y. Range is low to high. Low to high. So I'm going to underline all of my y values. And I'm going to start from my lowest y and work my way up. My lowest one is -6. Then we have -2, -1, 2, 3, 7. -6, -2, -1, not that one, -6, -2, -1, 2, 3, 7. Here we go. Done. Okay. When it's dots, distinct and isolated points, we list our domain and range values. Last night you had the homework of finishing the examples on your own, which looked more like this. The reason why we can't list these is because there is a point everywhere in between the 2 points. In between a point, there's another point. This is a line segment or a line, and a line is made up of infinite points. But what we can do is give an interval, which is where that inequality comes in, of where the line is at. So domain is my x. So on my x, this is my x-axis. If I take my leftmost point, because I want to start from left to right, leftmost, and drop it here. All I did was move it to my x-axis so I can see it better. Then I take my rightmost and drop it here. Notice because it's closed, I left them closed on both ends. And then this looks somewhat like what we've seen before. We saw it on the warm-up that one day. I have an interval from here to here of what my x values are. This x value right here is at -2. This x value right here is at +5. And it's a starting and end point. My start and my end. I then know domain is my x because this is a closed circle. I know I have to use my or equal to. Because this is a closed circle, I use my or equal to. So that is the domain of this function right here. And let's make sure it's on here. And there we go. Okay. For my range, it's going to be very similar. But I like to rotate my paper. Is this the right way? No, this way. Flip it down this way, where my negatives are down here and my positives over here, just like a number line. So flip the y-axis to look like a number line. Same thing as before. I'm going to drop this closed circle to my y-axis. I'm going to drop this closed circle to my y-axis. So now we're looking at this interval right here. So that's -4. And it's closed, so a line underneath it, and +4. Same thing, closed, line underneath it. Start point, end point. Started at -4. I'm talking about y here, from low to high. Notice that's my low point, -4, y, all the way to +4. Careful, that one says x. Range is y. So I want to make sure to use the correct answer. Okay. Let me see what else I can do with you. Let's look at, number 6. We'll go with that one. Sure, why not? I'll do number 6 and 9 with you, and then that'll be it. Number 6, domain is my x, left to right. I'm looking at my x-axis, so this guy right here. Furthest to the left is this one, and I see an arrow, I bring it up, arrow. I'll make it prettier. Furthest to the right is over here. See an arrow, bring it up. And then it encompasses everything in between. Everything in between. There is no starting point because the arrow means it's going to keep going forever and ever. There is no end point because the arrow means it keeps going on forever and ever. Which one could possibly mean going on forever and ever? No start or end. If you said all real numbers, you are correct. Notice there's another one there, which means you might use it again, you may not. Okay. So now let's look at my range. Range is my y, low to high. And I rotate my paper to make it easier to read. Here's the low point, which is an arrow. Keep going. It doesn't stop here. It keeps going past that to right there. Not an open circle, not an arrow, so it is a closed circle right there. Okay? There's no starting point. There is, however, an end point right here at 4. And I know my end point is closed, so it has a little line underneath it. No start, so we go straight to y, and then put the 4. All right, one more with you, and let me, in case I don't get to it, remember f of x right here? This whole thing right here just means the same thing as y. This whole thing right here just means the same thing as y. Same thing as y. So don't let that confuse you. I wanted to do number 9 with you. Domain is x, left to right. My x-axis. Leftmost is right here, and it's a closed circle. Rightmost is right here, and it's an arrow. So all of this in between. Starts at 0. 0 has a line underneath it. Arrow means it never ends, so I have a starting point, 0, with the less than or equal to, because it's a closed circle. And we're talking about my x, and it has no ending. Okay? Looking through all these, I don't see that. However, I see this one. Notice these two are the same, except flipped. This is the same thing as this. So I'm going to go ahead and write it the other way. It just means the same thing. It's just that, like the perfect mathematicians we are, that variable should come first. Let's do our range, which is y from low to high. Again, I like to flip my paper. Low point is over here, and that's an arrow. Highest point is right here, we already used, and everything in between. It does not have a starting point because the arrow means it keeps going. It does, however, have an end point right here at 0, and that end point is close, so less than or equal to. No starting, go straight to y. Oops, right here, end at 0. And there's my answer. All right, work on the other 6 that I left you until it is time to turn this in. Good luck.